Welcome, beautiful, to hot flashes and perimenopause. So, we are going to be talking about the causes, the hormones involved, and some natural relief tools that you can begin to use so that you're reducing the frequency and eliminating them altogether. So, welcome to the training today. Here is what you're going to learn. Firstly, why blood sugar spikes trigger hot flashes. This is one of the first hormonal connections that we're going to make. Secondly, we're going to talk about the thyroid's role in your temperature regulation. So the thyroid has a couple of roles that it takes on. Temperature regulation is one of them. Also related to the thyroid, why the T4 to T3 hormone conversion actually matters. We're going to talk about that. And then the adrenal circadian rhythm connection. Again, another hormonal connection aligned with your circadian 24-hour rhythm. And I'm going to give you at the end three quick relief tips to reduce hot flash frequency. Okay, so you'll want to stay till the end. This is for you if you've been experiencing increased frequencies of hot flashes and how uncomfortable that must feel and the worry that that creates. This is for you if you wake up hot and sweaty consistently, if your hot flashes are impacting your sleep. So you wake up in this hot, sweaty sort of uncomfortable mess and then you can't fall back asleep, or it's disrupting your daily life because maybe before like a big meeting, you get this huge hot flash trigger, and that obviously impacts how well your meeting goes. And this is for you if you want to learn the hormonal connections behind your temperature regulation and what this means in perimenopause. And if you want to get real solutions to reduce hot flash frequency and start healing at the root cause. So many women out there can tell you, go get a gel cooling pad or have a fan handy or hydrate, but those are great little symptom reliever tips, but we want to heal at the root cause so that we eliminate them altogether. And that's what this presentation is designed for. So my big promise is that in the next 25 minutes, we're going to solve this problem once and for all. Why your blood sugar is connected and why this may be triggering your hot flash. We're going to understand the thyroid's role in regulating your temperature. We're going to also understand how the T4 actually converts to T3, why this matters towards your hot flash, and how to begin supporting it. Learning also about the adrenal circadian connection. Okay, so we're going to talk about cortisol and how this knowledge impacts your hot flashes. And like I said, you're going to walk away with tips so that way you can start healing at a root cause level. So this is why I've put this training together for you today, is because I want you to develop a hormonal understanding of why your hot flashes are occurring so that you can take a root cause approach to healing. I've also seen through my clients the frustration, the uncomfortableness of dealing with frequent hot flashes. It's definitely not something you want to be worrying about or having anxiety over when it's going to occur in your day. As an everyday sort of basis, it's no way to live. I'm also building this YouTube playlist for you, compiled with different symptoms to give you concrete tools that you can begin to use in your healing journey. Because oftentimes, I don't just see a woman come to me with solely hot flashes. It's typically hot flashes, maybe some hair shedding, maybe some brain fog, maybe her sleep is impacted, maybe there's some belly fat going on. And that's because this is a hormonal game. So you'll see in the different videos that I've created for you in this playlist that there are different tools and different hormonal connections that we talk about. And a lot of overlap as well, but I try and tailor it towards the specific symptom that you're dealing with. And my goal is to give you tools that you can begin using so that you know exactly how to regulate your temperature and support your body. And if you stay towards the end, you're going to have the opportunity to get my 5-day perimenopause reset plan. This is great for helping you essentially, give yourself a little 5-day reset, start to put your hormones on the right track towards healing. You're going to get my hormone cheat sheet to fast track you to the end goal of basically hacking your hormones. You're going to get my Elevate in 10 workout series, 2 workouts that are very time savvy that will help with insulin resistance, blood sugar spikes, boosting muscle mass, burning fat, all of the amazing things that we ideally want. You're going to get my From Fatigue to Freedom video series, 3-part video series teaching you how to reclaim your energy, boost your metabolism, burn fat, and create natural hormone harmony. And I always save the best for last. You can talk to me one-on-one through a complimentary midlife optimization session where we will go through what you've tried, what your goals are, and you'll walk away with a blueprint that you can begin implementing that's unique to you. So who the heck am I, right? Like I've been talking all this time, you're like, who is this girl? I'm a former two-time world champion Latin dancer. I did suffer at the hands of my hormones and hormonal weight for a long time, and I tried all of the weight loss methods that I actually learned later on when I stepped into the holistic health world were solely meant for men and solely tested on men, and that's why I was worsening my hormones, and I gave myself adenomyosis, a serious hormonal condition. And so then that's when I then turned to the holistic health world. I became an IAN and MyMT certified menopause health coach. I founded my company, This Isn't a Diet, where our mission is to help women in midlife get their 25-year-old bodies back and restore hormonal balance in 45 days. I'm also the best-selling author of Read This When You're Done Dieting, and I'm a podcast host as well. So the biggest problem that you're currently facing right now is that your hot flashes seem to hit at random times in the day. You might not know what the exact trigger is. And also that can be happening at night. And this is impacting your life because your hormones are changing in perimenopause. We obviously know that your sex hormones are changing, but also a lot of your other hormones are as well. This requires hormone supportive habits in order to make sure that you're transitioning in a really smooth way. And we can actually keep you cycling for many years and creating beautiful extra longevity to your life. And we can eliminate all the symptoms. You might also be dealing with chronic stress, and that activates a hot flash. So you're going to see why that cortisol connection takes place. You might also be undernourishing your thyroid. You might be also spiking your blood sugar levels. We're going to talk about these things. And on top of all that, perhaps you're missing sleep or debating leaving work. It's been shown that 1 in 10 of menopausal women, they think about or they end up leaving the workplace because of menopause related issues, and hot flashes being one of them. This is a core symptom and it might be severely impacting your life. So the underlying pain and frustration that this causes is the worry and anxiety over when a hot flash might occur. You might be worrying like, oh, I'm supposed to go out with my girlfriends. I'm really worried that if I go out, I'm going to have a hot flash while we're eating dinner and I'm going to be really uncomfortable and sweaty. It's no way to go about living your life. You might also be experiencing reduced sleep because you're having hot flashes and night sweats. And this can worsen hormonal imbalances as a result because that messes with your circadian rhythm. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. You might just generally be feeling frustrated with your body. You might be feeling like your body is working against you and nothing that you're doing is working. So I'm here to show you the hormone supportive habits that will help. So this is absolutely what you want, how I'm going to show you how to get there. How would it feel to go about your day at a consistent body temperature and be worry-free? I know that we take this for granted when we're younger, how our body temperatures regulate, but imagine going back to that and imagine how that would feel, not having the anxiety and worrying over, okay, I might have a hot flash today. I'm going to pack some extra deodorant and some napkins just to make sure I can wipe myself down. How would it feel to not have to worry about that? On top of that, how would your daily life change when you can sleep throughout the night, eliminate anxiety, and all of that negative stuff when your next hot flash will occur? So I want you to think about what life would look like if you didn't have this core perimenopause symptom. So this is the path that you need to take to get these results. We're going to firstly talk about blood sugar spikes and hot flashes. So firstly, when we eat something, this is a normal blood sugar that glucose chart that we see. Whenever we eat something that's high in carbs or sugar, our glucose levels, aka that sugar that our body converts it into, that's going to spike. And then our pancreas is going to release insulin, and that will also spike. So that's just how a normal glucose sort of reaction would occur. This causes a heightened cortisol response. So anytime you have this big surge of sugar going in your body, your cortisol is going to elevate too. And this can trigger a hot flash because your heart rate's going to start increasing. You might start sweating. You might, all of this extra stress that's going on in your body that triggers that lack of temperature control. And then this doesn't necessarily mean that you have to cut out carbs, that you have to cut out sugar. You just have to support your glucose curve through various biohacks. This is one of the biggest things that I do with my clients. Insulin is one of the foundational hormones. You'll find in nearly every single video in this playlist, I talk about insulin in some shape or form, and that's because it's super foundational. We need to get this right first. And if this becomes imbalanced, it triggers other imbalances. It imbalances your sex hormones, your thyroid hormones, your cortisol hormones. So this is something that we need to consistently every single day regulate. Okay. And hacking your blood sugar is the first step to reducing hot flash frequency. So my clients, like I said, they all start with this step. I have this coined in my Hack Your Body method, and this is the first video that they watch. It not only heals hormonal imbalances, but it also puts them in fat burning mode. So if you have goals to eliminate belly fat or fat in other areas of the body, or just drop down a size or feel lighter or be able to fit in some of your old clothes, this is also a crucial step in that puzzle piece. We're also going to talk about the thyroid's role in your temperature regulation. So you see in this picture that the thyroid is located here. It's a butterfly-shaped gland in your neck, one of the hormonal glands that we have in our endocrine system. And so your thyroid, this is what we call like your metabolic thermostat, because it controls your temperature regulation, your energy production, and your metabolism. It has such a high amazing function that it does. And this gland here, it produces T4, which is your inactive thyroid hormone. It also produces a little bit, a tiny little bit of T3, but it mostly produces T4. And that T4 must be converted into T3, the active form of the hormone, to regulate your metabolism and temperature effectively. This conversion does not occur in the gland itself. It occurs in your liver, in your muscles, in your gut, in your kidneys, and in your brain. So it's a full body conversion that we're talking about essentially. And if that T3 availability fluctuates, if for some reason the conversion is not happening because some of your organs are not converting in the right way, or you're missing certain nutrients that help with the conversion process, the brain's temperature regulation center, aka the hypothalamus, this becomes more sensitive to temperature, aka why more hot flashes occur. So it is therefore important to nourish the thyroid gland with various micronutrients. And then it's also important to support your internal organs to help with this conversion. So with my clients, I do like a lot of detox for certain organs. We bring in some herbs and some foods to help with liver support and kidney support, and we support the gut microbiome, which helps metabolize nutrients and obviously helps convert that T4 to T3. So there's a lot of different things that we can do. And this is, again, another important step to eliminating hot flashes altogether. We're going to also talk about the adrenal circadian rhythm connection. So as you can already see here, we're talking about day versus night, your 24-hour rhythm. This determines your wake, your sleep, and your energy patterns. Okay, so essentially the 24-hour clock, there's cortisol being involved. So this controls when cortisol is being released in your day and your thyroid output. A normal circadian rhythm is when you wake up, we have 3 different hormones that come into play when we talk about circadian rhythm. So basically when we wake up, cortisol is what helps wake us up, and that will spike. It will reach its peak 2 hours after you wake up. Okay. And then gradually throughout your day, it should start to fall. So that is natural and that is normal, that when you get to about 2 or 3 p.m., you're starting to feel a little bit more tired because your cortisol is starting to decrease. And something called adenosine, another hormone that we have that helps us start to feel sleepy, that is what starts to kick in. Okay. And then the last hormone being melatonin. So melatonin is then what helps us sleep and basically tells our brain, okay, it's time to go to bed now, and then helps us sleep throughout the night. So those are the 3 main hormones we talk about when we're talking about circadian rhythm, cortisol being one of the most important ones. And we've already made that connection in the previous slides that I was talking about, that when you're triggering stress, you're obviously triggering a hot flash. Now, a normal amount of stress will not trigger a hot flash, but chronically elevated cortisol will. So when sleep is disrupted, aka when you have a hot flash in the middle of sleep and you wake up feeling all sweaty, cortisol is elevated because maybe then you can't get back to sleep for a number of hours and you're going off of like maybe 4 or 5 hours of sleep, when we as women, we need 8 to 10 hours of sleep. That is a good normal circadian rhythm. We need a little bit more sleep than men do. Studies have shown this. And this can further worsen hot flashes. It can further worsen other hormonal imbalances that you may be experiencing. So it's almost like this vicious cycle. You have a hot flash and then you can't sleep, and this worsens your susceptibility to more hot flashes for the next little bit and the next day, right? So this is where it can kind of get a little bit tricky. And we want to support your circadian rhythm timing. So, for example, like morning light exposure, protecting your sleep, having wind down routines, as an example, using some biohacking tools. Caffeine timing, these can all reduce hot flash frequency. It might not seem like it's directly correlated with it, but these are all supportive habits for lifestyle to reduce and basically bring your cortisol levels back into a steady balance around your circadian rhythm. This will also obviously overall reduce stress levels. It will promote a sense of calm, which we obviously want. And we're going to dive now into 3 immediate hacks that you can begin utilizing to reduce your hot flash frequency. So the first one being, I want you to try 500 to 600 milligrams of ashwagandha or rhodiola adaptogens. So adaptogens literally take the physical stress from the body. And these two that I've mentioned, I want you to take one or the other, not both. These are cooling adaptogens that also support the T4 to T3 conversion, which we absolutely want. It lowers cortisol and it helps to regulate your temperature. So this is a great quick help that will definitely help you start to feel better ASAP. On top of that, you can increase your hydration and utilize a sugar-free electrolyte. Remember, sugar-free because we don't want to spike our blood sugar levels, and this is kind of like going the wrong way. So there are some great brands. Element is one of them. LMNT is a really great brand that I recommend to my clients. You can also turn to cooling herbal teas such as peppermint, hibiscus, and rooibos. So these are great, gives a little refreshing feeling. You want to avoid very spices in teas and also spices in general that add more internal heat to the body. So think like turmeric, ginger, garlic, like curry sort of spices. These all pack internal heat into the body, and we actually want to cool the body down. So also cooking with things that are more like rosemary, fennel seeds, basil, those are more cooling herbs also to just think about and use. And then again, think of the teas as well. You don't want to be having turmeric ginger tea and struggling with hot flashes all day as well. And then just to help with your circadian timing, expose yourself to light in the morning. This can be through a window. This can be just stepping out into your backyard for a couple of minutes or drinking your morning coffee outside. This can be going for a walk first thing in the morning. This will help regulate your cortisol levels. And also, you want to stop drinking caffeine after 12 p.m. because caffeine can stay in your bloodstream for up to 10 to 12 hours. And caffeine, what it does is it switches off. It basically binds to these adenosine receptors. Remember, adenosine is that hormone that starts to make us feel tired. So it basically just switches those off. And we actually need that adenosine to start kicking in later in the day so that we can fall asleep and we can regulate our circadian rhythm and get 8 to 10 hours of uninterrupted sleep. So your circadian timing of caffeine is also really important. This was one that was difficult for me. I used to be such a high caffeine junkie, and I then had to hone that in and basically bring that up to 12. And I also switched over to matcha, which has a slower release of caffeine and L-theanine, which helps keep you calm and regulates your cortisol levels. So that is another option as well if you really want to take this a step further. Okay, so I highly advise that you go to the first video in this playlist, the Perimenopause Belly Fat Blueprint, because this gives the biggest overview of your hormones, of all the connections. It really talks about fat burning versus fat storing mode, and also explains what's going on in the body as we transition from perimenopause. Alrighty, I'll see you in the next video.